Hey y'all, welcome to Project 1. We're going to be learning some foundational skills in this project. So right now our focus is on technique versus expression. Though you will have a chance to express yourself in this project, we're just going to be concentrating on the technical side of things. We're going to be learning 3 skills. Pinch, which we've already had some practice with. We're going to learn coil, and we're going to learn hard slab. So we've played with slabs just a little, but we're going to learn a specific technique called hard slab, where we can make something that is a little more geometric than with the more organic methods like pinch and coil. I'm going to show you some images really quick of still lifes because our project is based on the still life, which is a collection of objects. They're often drawn or painted, but we're going to be creating them and making a 3D real life still life. So real quick, let's look at some images of still lifes. You've had a look at some still lifes, both painted and drawn, as well as some ceramic folks who are working somewhat in this genre. We're going to talk about how to prepare for this project. So first of all, in your zine on the project sheet, you see resources. I've shown you some here, but go ahead and check them out. On our shared Instagram, I've got a folder titled Still Life, and you can look at some images there. They're all types of media. And now we're going to look around our home to find objects. I'm going to pick actual real objects from around me and in the studio that I'm in right now. So give me a second, I'm going to show you the objects that I chose that fit really well with the 3 different techniques we're using. We're looking for something that would lend itself to being pinched. So pinched things can be all kinds of shapes, but they're often somewhat spherical or a variation on the sphere. They are often on the organic side because of the pinchiness, though they can be more precise. And we're going to look for something that works well with being coiled. So things that are good for coiling are often tall and cylindrical. They could also be sort of a more organic form, like a body form or an animal form. And then we're going to look for something that lends itself well to being slab built, hard slab. And these are more geometric things, though they don't have to necessarily be hard geometry, but these would be things like a box or a building, that type of shape. So let me show you really quick what I chose. For my first grouping, I actually did 2 examples. So for my pinch, I chose this small, stout Tupperware container. For my coil, I chose this roll of paper towels. And for my slab, I chose this mold. And I'll show you a picture of what they look like together as a still life. My second grouping for my pinch, I chose this big rock. So this would be a fun thing to pinch. For my coil, I chose this spray bottle. I could coil this up. And for my slab, I chose this loaf pan. We use it as a mold in the studio, but this would be kind of fun and pretty simple to make out of hard slabs. I'm going to show you what they look like together as a still life. Hello there, I am patching in from my house and I have done the same exercise. I've looked around for something that would be really good to make with the pinch technique, something that would be really good to make with the coil technique, and something that would be really good to make with the hard slab technique. And this is what I came up with. I'm going to pinch these skein and cake of yarn. I'm going to use coil to make my trusty water bottle. And I'm going to use hard slab to do this metal box. A picture of what that looks like in my still life setup. For project 1, you might want to see if you can rustle up a couple of extra boards. We'll have a few different pieces that we're working on at the same time, and they might be a little bit bigger. When we start construction, a couple of things to keep in mind. One, we want to build the base of the construction, the biggest part of the construction. So for example, we want to build this cylinder before we start adding on the details of like the cut paper, the details at the top, maybe a hole at the top. So we'll start with the basic structure. 2, we want to make our sculpture look like the thing, but it doesn't necessarily need to have every single quality of the thing. So for example, when we made pinch pots and we added legs, even if say a cat's leg is very skinny at the join, we made it fatter so that it would join better. And the same goes for creating any sculpture. So for example, if I was building this, I might think, well, I'll just make a thick slab of clay and make it into a ring. But there's a couple of reasons why that wouldn't work. One is that a thick slab of clay is not going to do well in the kiln. It could blow up or crack. 2, making a thick slab, a slab that's almost an inch thick, into a cylinder is going to be pretty hard on the clay, and again we might get cracking. So if instead I start from the bottom with a base and I coil build this up and then close the top, then I've got the basic shape, and I can then add details like lines, cutouts, or even painting. I could leave this solid and just paint it black to indicate that it's a cutout. And again, with this too, I could add a little bit of slab on, but I could also paint here. So we are making a sculpture of the thing using ceramic techniques, not just recreating the thing. That might not make a ton of sense right now, and that's okay, but as you're building, hopefully it will start to sink in and be more clear. So part 1 of each process now, that is going to teach you how to do the process in its entirety, and then I'm going to post a part 2, and that's just going to show you those specific projects, me finishing up each part of my still life with details and that kind of thing. Most of that is going to be intuitive, but I'm just going to show you a few tricks and tips so that you can see how I finish my still life.